Ok, hola a todos. Hoy voy a tener una conversación en inglés intermedio con una profesora de inglés, español, una persona interesante y mi amiga Emma. Muchas gracias por estar aquí conmigo. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy muy bien. Hola a todos. Hola, yo fui antes la profesora de español de Kyle. Aprendimos mucho juntos y pues nada, ahora estamos aquí haciendo una entrevista.
Así es. Espero que no estés enojada conmigo por no hablar en tanto tiempo, porque ya sabes que he estado haciendo mucho con mi francés y no tanto en mi español.
Claro, no te preocupes que tienes que ahora trabajar más el francés, te entiendo. Ya hablas muy bien español, no te preocupes por eso.
Pero estoy muy feliz de hablar contigo. Muchas gracias por estar aquí.
Igualmente, hace mucho tiempo.
Sí, sí. Pero hoy vamos a hablar inglés. Así que
English.
empecemos. So, Emma, what languages do you speak?
So I speak English as a native speaker, Spanish partly as a native speaker. I grew up in a bilingual-ish household, so half of my family is from Mexico, half is from the US. So I grew up speaking more English and some Spanish, and I studied Spanish in university. And I also speak Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, because I studied Brazilian Portuguese in university. And now I take classes on italki with some Portuguese teachers.
Very interesting. The other day, I read that only 13% of the world is trilingual, can speak 3 languages. So
Wow.
how proud are you to be a part of that 13%?
Wow, you make me feel special. I feel very good. I think being able to speak multiple languages is very special. So I think it's definitely worth the time and money to learn a new language.
I agree 100%. So you grew up probably understanding Spanish more than you spoke, right?
Yes.
When did the speaking really start? How did you get from being able to understand to getting to where you're at now, where you can speak to somebody in Spain or Latin America without problems?
Yes. So that's a very interesting story. Really, I started speaking actually when I was probably a senior in high school. Actually, that's not true. A junior in high school. So I was 17 because I started taking Spanish courses. Before, I could have spoken Spanish. I understood, but I could have spoken. The thing that held me back was shame. I was so embarrassed because I thought, what if I make a mistake? What if I say something dumb? My accent is not good, you know? So the one thing that held me back was fear and shame of making mistakes. So any of you who are learning English, don't let that fear hold you back, because I lost many years being around Mexican people, speaking to them in English. It was ridiculous because I was afraid. So I started taking courses when I was 17, and I started forcing myself to practice with my family. And then I just kept studying in university and traveling. I went to Ecuador, of course, Mexico, and Spain. And I forced myself to become more comfortable speaking Spanish.
Okay, that's interesting. And I think all of us who are learning or have learned a language, we understand what you mean about that shame, that fear. Nobody wants to say the wrong word and look stupid. One time I asked somebody if they were afraid of something. Tienes miedo is what I wanted to say, but I said tienes mierda.
Yeah.
And yeah, but now I don't have those problems as often.
Right.
And yeah, you have to get over that fear. And now look at you sound like a native when you speak. So
Right. Lots of work and lots of passion went into that.
I do hear a little bit of a difference, a little bit more Spain in your Spanish.
No, really?
Yes, yes. And you said guay the last time we
Why,
spoke.
yeah, man, they got me. I've been here 2 years, so that's something that's gonna happen. The
Mhm.
one thing that gets me too is that here, this is kind of like a bad word, but I think your audience can handle it. Here they'll say like, voy a coger el autobús.
Mhm.
Voy a coger una hoja de papel. And for me, thinking about like really in the Mexican environment, for us, coger is something else. So that's another example of these words that translate differently.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had to learn that one as well. The difference between coger and recoger.
Yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound good if you say voy a coger mi mamá para traerla la
No.
doctor. Yeah, does not sound
No.
good.
I don't know though if in Colombian Spanish, do they use coger in that way? Or do they use it as
More recoger, but it's not so much like the Mexicans where every single time it's bad.
something else? Yes. Not
Yeah,
bad, but probably not what they really mean.
right. Could be good. Could be good. Okay. Anyway, could you please tell me some interesting experiences that you've had in your second and third languages that you would not have had if you did not speak those languages?
Ooh, honestly, being able to speak Spanish and travel to, like, say, when I went to Ecuador, if I only spoke English at that time, I think it would have been very complicated to connect with people in the way that I did. So, the most interesting and special experiences that I've had while traveling were with people. And the only way that I could connect with people is because, well, it's not the only way, but really I was able to create this deeper connection with people because I can communicate with them and understand them. And just traveling and learning new words and learning, for example, these differences. What one word means in Spain is not the same thing as in Ecuador and Mexico or Argentina. So the best experiences have definitely been just discovering cultural differences, food differences, differences in the way that people express themselves, the way that people treat you. So, yes, I would say those are the most important experiences that I've had in my second language. And if I only spoke English and came to Spain, I would be hanging out with like all the tourists, which wouldn't be as fun. And
Right,
now,
definitely.
right. And now I have tons of friends here and I'm like taking dance classes and meeting so many cool people. And I have a boyfriend now who's from Spain. I think it would be a lot more complicated if I only spoke English.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, for me as well, it's the connections that we make with these languages that make all the hard work worthwhile, and the experiences that you have are so amazing, so real, and the people, they welcome you when they understand that you can communicate with them in their language. I went to a church with my girlfriend 2-3 weeks ago, the the Latino America Church of Chicago or something like that. Obviously, I'm the only white guy there,
Yeah.
and they all come up to me and they say, "Oh, we can get you translations and this and this." Pues hablo español, no. Oh, wow, qué genial. And it was so cool to be able to connect with those people in my second language, in their first language. When you speak with somebody in their first language, you make that connection that's different, you understand that. So have you had any type of cool interactions in Portuguese yet?
Oh my gosh. Portuguese is a hard one, okay? Because I'm taking classes with a Brazilian guy who's awesome. I love talking with him. We've had like some of the best conversations. So interesting, just, breaking barriers, and I'm learning so much with him. But this is Brazilian Portuguese. I'm right next, so now I'm obviously in Spain, right next to Portugal, right? The motherland of Portuguese. I went there and it's completely different. So different. Honestly, it's very hard for me to understand
Mhm.
European Portuguese. So the interactions that I had with Portuguese people were not pleasant. I think they seemed annoyed with me because I was like speaking Brazilian Portuguese, but I couldn't understand what they were saying because their accent is very different and they use different words. So if you're thinking about Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Mexico, there's a difference there, but we can understand each other. Brazilian Portuguese is so different from European Portuguese. So I haven't had really pleasant interactions quite yet. I'm waiting to go to Brazil and maybe I'll learn a little bit more European Portuguese. But for now, I can't tell any good story.
Okay, well, for me as well, the connections I've made with you, for an example, we've had amazing conversations. We've learned so much together, and that's an awesome thing that would not have happened without Spanish. So it doesn't have to be, you go to this country and you meet these people, have these amazing experiences. Just a phone call can really make your day.
Yeah. When I went to Portugal, I went into some stores and I was trying to, really trying to use my Portuguese, even though it's different. I thought, at least they'll understand me. So I tried to ask for something at the store and they were like, "Oh, you speak Brazilian Portuguese." And I was like, "Yeah, I do. Yeah, sorry. Can you speak a little slower? I really can't understand you." So, as I said, the experiences I've had with Portuguese have been kind of embarrassing and uncomfortable, but this is something that I think language learners experience most of the time. The first interactions are uncomfortable and embarrassing.
Definitely. That's part of the process. Okay, so this is a question that is very interesting to me. Okay, so you speak 3 languages. Do you feel like a different person in each of your 3 languages? Do you feel like you have a different personality when you're speaking English, Spanish, and Portuguese?
I don't know that I can speak about Portuguese quite yet. I don't know, I haven't developed that side of me yet. But when it comes to English and Spanish, yeah. So I think that I think Spanish in general is a more expressive language emotionally. So maybe I can seem a little bit more affectionate or more loving, use more emotional words. I can maybe connect with my more emotional side in Spanish. I think English is a little bit more of a serious language. So maybe I can make better jokes in English because I grew up in this environment. And I think, Americans have really good humorists in English. So maybe with my English side, I can connect more with my sense of humor, if that makes sense. So I would say in Spanish, maybe I have this more emotionally intelligent side. And in English, I have this more humorous, kind of easygoing side.
Okay. That's interesting. I do feel the same, that Spanish can be more emotional. And when I'm talking to my girlfriend, I try to speak to her in English as much as possible because she's in that learning stage. But when I'm talking about my problems, for example, I feel myself wanting to express myself in Spanish because I feel just those emotions. I feel more like I have a wider variety of expressing sadness, anger, or even happiness and cariño, ¿sabes?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And as well, for another example is when speaking with her, when, we're saying goodbye or something, for me, it's normal to just say, okay, goodbye. We'll talk to you tomorrow. But with her Spanish side, her Colombian side, it's okay, cuídate mucho, baby.
Yes.
There's much more cariñoso, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yes.
that Spanish side.
Yes, definitely. And maybe that even might be a Latin thing too. I think people here are pretty affectionate as well, maybe
Mhm.
on a lesser level.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a cultural thing. I think culture and language go hand in hand. So definitely that will influence how we express ourselves.
Okay. And that's something interesting I'd like to talk to you about, because I have experience with the Mexican people and Colombians, but I have not been over the ocean. I haven't been to Spain. So I really don't have a view of the Spanish culture. What are some big differences to you, having traveled in Latin America, being from a Mexican family? What are some of the big differences between the Spanish culture and the Latino America culture?
Yeah, that's kind of a hard question. I don't want to make generalizations. I need to think about that.
I sprung that one on you.
Yes, yeah. I need to think about that. You know, I think so. As I said previously, I think in general, Spanish people are also pretty affectionate, maybe more than Americans, like, us from the US, more affectionate, more expressive. They talk a lot, a lot. And also, it's important for me to say that I'm in the South. And so I'm in Andalusia.
Mhm.
Here, they're known for being more open, more expressive, more affectionate. In the North, they're known for being more serious. So we're also talking about regional differences, right? And I don't want to say all Latinos are affectionate and, just warm. I think culturally we can argue that, and maybe a lot of people will agree, but I think they have a lot in common. I just think that Spanish people talk a lot. Really, they do. And people have told me this, okay? So this is not me generalizing, but they kind of are very direct. They just say what they're thinking without worrying about how it will affect you or if it will make you feel bad. If they think or feel something, they'll just say it. They'll put it right out there. And I don't know if this is Latino people or just, my family, but we're going to be a little bit more sensitive to that person's emotions. So we're not going to be like, hey, say something offensive. We might think a little bit before saying something.
Right. Yeah. Like, oh, you're looking kind of fat. Have you been eating too much lately?
But that's a grandma thing. Okay. I think Latin grandmas would say that too.
Mhm.
Would say something like that.
Okay.
But people here in general, the problem with being here too is that it's a little bit homogenous. No, it's very homogenous. So there's not much diversity.
Mhm.
Okay. So people don't really have much contact with people from other cultures. So for example, if there's a Latin person here, someone might say something offensive without realizing it's offensive and
Right.
not thinking twice, right?
Mhm.
So, I think they could learn how to think before speaking. I'll say that much.
Okay. But they have no filters.
Yeah, they have no filters.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. So you have a boyfriend who is from Spain. Okay. I have a girlfriend from Colombia. And when we talk, somehow we always wind up talking about relationships, love. I think we're both affectionate, caring people. So we kind of end up talking about those things. So I would like to talk to you about relationships and languages. So do you think that it is more interesting to date or to be in a relationship with somebody from a different culture rather than somebody from Portland who only speaks English?